So lately, we've been getting asked, can we paint our aluminum windows on the outside of our home? And the short answer to that is yes. The longer answer, I'm going to go into it. So there are going to be some limitations. So depending on what style of window you have, let's say you've got a window that slides back and forth, left to right, or it goes up and down, anything that is hidden, that's overlapped, that cannot be painted. And that's the overlap when they bypass each other, but also the space where it slides into the channel when it's shut. So there, basically what you can do is we can paint the window in the closed position. We can't go around painting the edges that reveal themselves when the window's open. Now, for most people, they don't really open their windows much. They usually leave the air conditioner running and seldom see their windows open. And if they do, they have a screen on the outside and that will cover up that little reveal that is unpainted. And usually that reveal is really quite small, so it's not really a big deal. And usually when most people have their windows open, they're not outside, they're pretty much inside. So they're not really looking back on the house. Um, so aluminum windows can be painted quite easily. Vinyl windows can be painted quite easily. There's limitations with the vinyl windows, as you'll have some pieces of the vinyl that will expand or contract. So you have to be aware of that. Now, the general rule of thumb for vinyl is that you can't paint it darker than it already is. So if you have white windows, they're going to be white. Maybe you can do them in an off-white, but you're certainly not going to turn a white window into a black window or a white window into a dark brown window. That would be a mistake. So now, this is going to void the warranty on any of your windows, but chances are, if you're asking about painting your windows, chances are the warranty's already expired. So it does take some time to paint a window. So what we have to do is we have to wash them down really good. And we would start off with power washing the window and from a distance, so we're not injecting water in through the home. And that's going to help flush out the track. And that's what I'm really worried about with the power washing, is making sure we're rinsing the window down and the track down along the bottom is just collected dust over the years. So we want to make sure we get that flushed out. And then we're into hand washing it. And so this is wiping it down generally with lacquer thinner to clean it and make sure we get any chalk off. Now we're ready for the paint to stick. And the next step is then we got to start masking up. So we got to mask up the glass, and then we got to mask up the perimeter of the window. And once that's all done, then we're ready to spray a coat of bonding primer. And that's key to make sure that our coat of paint sticks. So we're going to use an industrial acrylic bonding primer designed for sticking to a factory aluminum or sticking to vinyl, and then top coat it with 2 coats of an industrial acrylic. And this is going to give us our longest life, and it's a hardest finish. So typically putting your regular house paint on it is going to be too soft of a finish for windows. Another thing to remember is once the windows are done, I want you to not clean the glass for 30 days. I really want that paint to cure before you get your window cleaner out there. We are going to put our hands on your glass. We are going to get them dirty with, depending on how hard your water is. So they're going to have water spots on them. They're going to have handprints on them because my guys are going to be masking the glass and then cleaning the masking off. So us not touching the glass is just not going to happen. So save your window cleaning for 30 days after the windows are done. Now, the next thing is that your screens. We can paint the outside face of your screen frame, but tape doesn't stick to screening fabric. So we're going to have to pull your screen out, and then we can reinstall new screen fabric in your screen. So you'll get new screens and you get a nicer look. Now, all of this is not inexpensive. So we're going to look at a starting point. The average home, let's say the average home has 20 windows. And so it's going to cost you about $3,000 for your windows, and anywhere from $150 to $180 for each window after that. If you have less than 20 windows, it's still going to be about $3,000 because we've got to do setup. So if you've got a lot of second story windows, then that's going to be a little bit more. But if they're all on the first floor, that's a good general rule. So you look at it and go, okay, I can I can paint my window for $150 to $180. Boy, that's a lot of money. Why don't I just replace my windows? Well, you can certainly do that. Windows, I think, on the inexpensive side for replacement are probably going to cost you $1,000 and up. And if you've got a sliding glass door, that's going to be $3,000 or $4,000 for a sliding glass door. So, by the way, a sliding glass door would count as two windows. Um, so you'd have $300 to $400 for a sliding glass door, something like that. So this will hold up great for you. Certainly it's a paint, but if you've got an aluminum window, you had a paint on it anyhow. That factory finish was a paint, and typically that factory aluminum finish faded really pretty quick. So it didn't peel, but it certainly faded, and it started fading pretty hard in the first 5 to 10 years. And if you're beyond 10 years, they're really quite faded. Now, sometimes there's a better alternative than painting the windows. So a lot of times, if you go out there and you just take a wet sponge and wash your window off, you might be able to get that chalky face off of there. So where the paint has started to fade. So that'd be the first step I would look at, is going out there and try washing that aluminum pretty good. I'd use some soapy water and then rinse it off and see if the window looks better. Now you'll probably have to scrub it pretty hard with a sponge, because you want to move that chalky paint off of the surface. And just power washing that won't ever get chalk off. You actually have to manipulate it to get it off. And then what you can do is put a brightener on it. So we recommend a product called Aerospace 303. And think of it like a really good Armor All that you would put on the dash of your car. And you can just apply that with a rag. And in most cases, that'll restore your aluminum windows or your vinyl windows to close to new. Now, if you've waited too long and the paint on your aluminum window is worn down to the bare aluminum, then you're out of luck. All you're going to do is wash more paint off. But if you're gentle and thorough and getting the chalk off, you can get your windows looking pretty good. Now, if you want to change colors, well, then you got to paint the windows. So it's your call. We'd love to do the work for you, but there are limitations, and I could talk to that in further detail. I painted my vinyl windows on my home when they were 3 years old. I just did not like the color, and I wanted them to be a different color. And they've held up great. I think our process, I don't worry about the paint ever peeling. On vinyl windows, I knew that it was going to shrink or expand some of the vinyl components a little bit, and it doesn't make sense. The sunniest side of the house didn't bother some of the windows, and the odd one it did. So one piece shrunk a little bit. So I went in there and touched it up and added a little color where the piece shrunk back. So things like that. And one little strip just got a little wavy, but you'll have that with vinyl. You just need to know that that's the risk you're running into. My windows were certainly new, certainly in warranty. I just couldn't stand the color. And I knew the paint was going to stick and it was going to look better after I was done. So aluminum windows is kind of a no-brainer. We can really make them look better. Now, if you've got windows that crank out, and those are called a casement style, we can't go inside the jamb. We can, again, just do what is revealed when the window is in the closed position. Hope that answers your questions. Thanks. Have a good day.